Are you ready?
I guess. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, welcome back. This is Extracted episode 4, Shannon Boyles. Overall, episode 7, but this is the 4th one, which features Shannon, right?
Right.
Yeah. And it's been a minute. I was gone, and now I'm back. And in the time that I was away, I got a chance to listen to some of the episodes, and what happened is the gamification kicked in, and I realized I needed to be the first one to wimp out. It's Shannon Boyles has a point, I don't, because when someone requests an edit because they kind of wimp out about the content, the other person gets a point. And I was listening to this one and about this person, and I was like, that's way too much. And there was a heft of a corporation along with that person. Right. So I was like, and I don't want to be right. I don't want to be wimpy, but it's just not worth it. It's not worth it. And who's going to hear this? Who knows? But one day. Why have the risk? And so I got soft. Shannon Boyles now leads the gamification because I requested an edit, and it has been edited. So the thing I edited, you won't have to hear because it's been well edited. And what you need to know is I do not have a point. Shannon Boyles does.
However, the night before you left town, you won and are the GOAT within the moth community.
I mean, yeah, if I'm going to balance out between losing a point to you and then this.
Right, because in our last episode, which was Jared episode 3, you were going to be doing the Moth Denver Grand Slam at Mamma Jamma, and you ended up killing it and winning that night.
I did win.
Now, I could not get a ticket to save my life. I tried everything, but what I loved that you did was had your phone recording in your pocket, and I was able to hear muffled, although beautifully done, what you performed and the audience reaction. And I am not surprised that you won. So Jared, everybody.
It bothers me that winning is part of my mindset. I just should go out there and tell a story, but it's not about winning. It's just I want to do the best I possibly can.
We grew up on 80s movies where everything was about winning.
The best around. No one's ever gonna
keep it down.
So,
the best.
It was great. The Denver Newman Center is no joke.
No, that stage, I saw it. I mean,
it's thousands of people. As a matter of fact, the show before
was sold out.
Several months. Yeah, it was so sold out that people were waiting outside to get in, and people would ask me if I had a ticket and would not give up if I just said no. Like, it was weird.
It was like a Grateful Dead concert where they're walking around with the one, Right,
I should have been selling macaroni and cheese because the people milling around hungry and without purpose for that evening. It was amazing, and they did a great job putting it together, and it was packed house.
And you were autographing.
Oh, so
kissing babies.
Craziest story. I'm gonna put together a TikTok/Instagram video on this because after the show, I love doing the shows, but the after part where I have to talk to people, I get really self-conscious about what I'm saying. Am I representing the guy they just saw on stage real well? And I don't think often. And so I was just trying to get out the back. Well, I go up these back stairs, and there's people waiting there. And I'm like, well, hopefully for someone else. And it was for me. And they had me, the Moth has put out this book, which is really good. I don't think I have it with me. Wait a second. Who wants to see my buttocks?
Wait for it. This is
cam.
a tease. This is a real tease.
So this, forward by Mike Birbiglia, who really kind of found his storytelling feat at Moth. The Moth presents A Point of Beauty, and A Point of Beauty was the theme. That's the story around. Anyway, so they gave this book to everybody who came in.
Right.
And there's these people waiting for me with this book, and they're having me autograph the book. And to every person, I'm not a fraud here, Boyles. To every person, I was like,
told them, I'm not
in the book. And they
didn't
still
care.
had me autograph the book.
Yes.
But there was this young woman, 20-ish, and maybe her mom, and they were waiting at the end of the line, and the mom said, "We have the weirdest story."
Whoa.
Yeah, and I was like,
Bring it.
It's not going to be that weird. And they finally get to me, and the younger person was like, "You're Jared Iwi?" I'm like, "Yes." And she's like, "This is insane. You're the raccoon video guy."
Oh
I was like, yes.
You have fans.
Okay, so it does get weird. Let me just tell you some backstory here, and I'll remind you,
Love
it is
this.
Boyles' day. It's her show
No,
today.
this is
I can hold this. This can hold till
Listen,
my
there's
episode.
an eclipse, a solar eclipse going on
I
out
know,
there.
right now.
It's not going to happen in North America for another 20 years.
Yeah.
You and I are locked into this moment. We are ruled by the moon, being Cancer's born on 7/7/74. Tell me the rest of what you were going to say.
Okay, so in 2013, I'm driving my boys to daycare, and we drive the same route every day, and we had fun and giggled and laughed. And one day, Quinn is like, "What's that?" And I look, and it's a raccoon.
Right.
And so I pull over because the raccoon is on the road. And as I get close to it, it's not a normal raccoon. The thing's got mange and rabies and PTSD. There's a lot going on with this thing. And so every time I see an animal, I call it Bud. I don't know what it is. I'm like, "Hey, Bud, I have no idea. I'm sorry." And Animal Kingdom. And so this older guy comes out of one of the nearby warehouses, and he gets in front of me and starts trying to get it off the road. Well, so that day, after we get the animal off the road, we call animal control. Animal control comes, takes it away. You know, it's in a better place than where it was, I tell you. And I post it online. It's a funny thing is my boss, this lovely, lovely human named Ashley, she was like, "What are you doing?" And we were like, we just came up together in tech, and so she had to tolerate me, but she was also very encouraging. But this is one of those moments. She's like, "Why are you editing this raccoon video?" And I just said to her, I was like, "I'm sorry, I'll owe you some time, but this is going to get 1 million views."
It is.
And it'll, when you get a viral video, it raises all the boats.
Totally.
And if you want to, in the description, you could put something that might help your business. You
Yeah.
know? So I post it, and nothing happens with it. And I would say, I don't know if it's a year or 2 years later, I'm in Baltimore, which is weird because I get a call from a Baltimore TV station. And they found my number through whatever Google search. And they're like, "Are you the guy who did the raccoon video?" I was like, "Yeah." Which is, my hackles kind of raised, being like I'm super rural. I'm like, "What are you, judging me?" Suddenly I'm a raccoon guy.
They want to give you a rabies test.
Right, exactly. Just because I wear the hat. And so they're like, "Well, you have this video. Can we use it on the air?" And they're like, "Can we interview you too?" I'm like, "Sure." So just on phone, I did a little interview, and they did a thing about how that's not how you deal with a rabid animal.
Right.
Which, if you want something to go viral, which I have had a few things go viral.
More than a few.
There's a common thread in many of them is I'm doing something that invites people to say how they would do it differently. And you know how the internet is full of everybody that knows everything? They just flooded the comments. Like when I surprised my wife with the Tesla, it went viral for the first time just because it was a generous thing. And then the second time, because a radio station in Chicago started talking about how I was an idiot for not consulting my wife on the financial decision. So it took off again. There's a whole Reddit thread.
Well, and speaking of like subreddit,
right.
You also have this new viral thing as of last summer where you'll find manhole covers that are not put back correctly to make the line straight, and you get out there and muscle them into place.
Yeah, and that was scary. It was much heavier than I thought it would be.
But it was so brilliant.
Yeah,
anyway.
it went nuts. Yeah, so, but that's a thing. Like, just if you're doing something just a little bit off, people are going to be like, "I must tell him how to do it."
Right.
And so that TV station uses it, and then there's a university in Sweden that wants to use it, and another TV station in Portland, and then Stanley Tucci has a movie called Patient Zero, and they want to use it. I don't know if they ever used it, but and it just keeps growing and growing and growing.
You need to license your content.
And then get
paid on all this.
Well, it's funny, break.com, they I didn't hear anything from the Stanley Tucci people, so I was like, "Well, you can use it." And they said, "Well, you can make any advertising money off it at our platform." Well, they disappeared, so it's available again. But so it went crazy.
Tease. That was a total tease. It's available again.
It is available again. Yeah, you want to be a part of this magic. And so back to this young woman, and I go, "The raccoon video." She goes, "Yeah, cute, but." What is it? Cute but terrifying. Rabbit animal gets nabbed by something. She knows it by heart.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, and then she recites the entire video.
Did she auto-tune herself?
No, it's not singing. It's weird. Like she knows my lines. She knows the wildlife officer's lines. She knows the titles that I put in.
You know what's cool about that? When I was a little kid, I would listen to cassette tapes of stand-up comics, and I would also do their routine at the same time. And that's exactly what I thought of when you said that.
Well, yeah, everybody with Eddie Murphy, you know, in the 80s.
Well, yeah, but even clean comics. But so this young woman knew
and I'm like, what is happening? It was really weird. So I have video of this, and she's like, when I was in college, we started, there's an episode of The Office where they start like a 5K to raise money. It's all about 5Ks and raising money. But anyway, they start a fake organization called RAW, Rabidity Awareness Week. And her friend texts this, it's crazy. She texts the program for Rabidity Awareness Week. On the top, it says honorary doctor, Dr. Jared Ewing.
Dude, you are destined for greatness.
Her friends would play different roles. Like one of them would be me, one of them would be the other guy who gets dangerously close. Someone would be the raccoon. They'd have parties where everybody had raccoon ears. So she knows the video by heart, and her mom's like, I don't know if it was her mom, an older sister or friend, I don't know. But it was like nodding, like, yeah, this was always a big deal. God. And they had these parties that celebrated this video. Like this is
your video.
Yeah. It's so crazy. And it has couple million views. I think about 2 million views now.
And so she knew you were in the Moth Grand Slam?
Well, so she's sitting there at the Moth Grand Slam, and that name comes up. And I am
your
the
voice
last
is very
Jared
distinct.
Ewing. Yeah, there was another Jared Ewing. They spelled Jared just differently, but the newspaper spelled it like me. He was killed in Afghanistan.
Oh.
And so I'm the last one.
Okay.
And so she's like, that's got to be him. And so
Yes.
she's just like lingering around the theater waiting to find me because of this random... How many videos are on YouTube? Like billions.
Yeah.
And it's so weird. And I lost myself. I was so excited. I kept saying, it's amazing. It's amazing. And on the way out, she's like, bye. And then we said together, it's amazing. Because I couldn't figure it out. My brain couldn't quite wrap my head around it.
What is it? String theory. It's like, that was
I had this
micro-connection.
moment once where I'm in Baltimore with my wife. She's from Baltimore. We're back in Baltimore. And there was, when I met Sarah, I said, I only know one other person from Baltimore. He went to Fort Lewis, but he just got kicked out last year because my wife was a little younger than me. We went to Fort Lewis College in Durango. But my freshman year, there was this guy named Mikey. We called him Mikey from Maryland. And he went there one semester, had a 0.0, first 0.0 I ever knew, got kicked out. Never saw him again. 2 years later, Sarah would arrive. 3 years after that, we'd end up dating. And about 7 years after that, we were in Baltimore together. And I'd always joked about Mikey from Maryland like that. Other than Sarah, that's all I knew. And we're go to visit her friend, and her friend had just gotten a divorce and had a new boyfriend. Well, the new boyfriend walked in front of in the headlights, and just by his silhouette, I said, "That's Mikey from Maryland."
Oh my God.
Which is crazy. We're talking about I don't know what the odds are on this. And Sarah makes fun of me because I'm from a small town, and I think I know everyone all the time.
But you do.
And she made fun of me, and sure enough, it's him. I couldn't believe it. And this is that same kind of thing where my brain can't wrap around
what had happened.
I've gone on too long. I've gone on too long.
Is so fascinating.
There's going to be another edit.
Because as we're talking, the eclipse is going, I mean, what are we in the penumbra or the umbra phase? I don't know. But
it's waning.
It's right. I mean, there's an energy to all of this, and I'm so happy for you and so proud of you, and I'm not surprised that you won or that you had fans waiting for you. And then this crazy small world story. I love it. And I'm just excited for what this year is going to bring.
I've gone on too long. I got too excited.
No, you're good.
No, I chipped away at people's psyche with my enthusiasm. And the next thing you know, I'm with Mikey in Maryland and Baltimore. People didn't need to go there. But,
no, they did. And, I mean, right now, Baltimore, isn't it in the path of totality?
It's close. I know Ohio, Texas, there's this weird, like, rainbow moonshot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Right. And the purpose of why we are doing our podcast is to get our stories organized and to share this excitement and the fun stuff. And it's like, who cares if we talked about, I mean, I think we talk. Yeah, it's great.
Mm-hmm. And now I feel like you might get another point because I'll have to edit out the Mikey from Maryland thing. No, because
that's not a well-earned point.
That's Sarah's friend.
Like a participation trophy point.
Okay.
I don't want.
I'm just gonna say it's turned out great. He has a couple lovely children with my wife's friend.
Yes,
and it was wild to see him.
Mike from Maryland.
Mikey from Maryland because he liked to party in the dorms.
You know what?
Boom, he shows up in my life again as a successful adult.
I wonder if I met him also because Fort Lewis wasn't that big of a school, and I was also there.
No, he was across the hall. He was like me. He was always looking for somebody
to buy hair?
No.
Yeah. I'm thinking of a guy. His name was Josh. Never mind. Yeah. Wow.
So Anyway,
Okay.
the story was a point of beauty. I talked to I guess I'm not supposed to share. I don't know.
No,
we'll do it on here.
you please, because have you signed anything?
I think
that says...
we'll play it on here. My story time.
Okay.
Yeah.
But-
or I'll just tell the story.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not now.
No.
But
Oh.
my story time.
Okay.
Which is the next time we do this.
Oh, the real story.
Yeah, the real.
Okay,
yeah.
but let me just ask this: now that you've won the Grand Slam Mamma Jamma, Shazam, what is the next step? Like, is there a press tour? Is there a Moth sends you to the Nationals?
No, I don't think so. I think that was it. Like,
Okay.
Yeah, it's funny they announced me as the winner, and I thought, do I go up and say a speech? I wish I would have, but I just kind of paused. Most of by then my brain's thinking, oh, we got a pack to go to Hawaii.
Yeah.
But,
Hawaii Dad? Remember from Vacation, the movie?
yeah. And I since I've won the local one three times, there should be 2 more of these Slam Jammas I do.
Wow.
So my goal is just to keep doing it and winning.
I saw that the theme for the Moth Denver in June is guts.
Yes, and I have a good one for that.
Well, good, because I was thinking of like my crazy.
You should do it.
No, I don't know.
You should do
Not
it.
if you're gonna do it.
No. We could both do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd win, but
Yes, you would.
no, you should do it. I won't do it if you're gonna do it.
Okay, we'll talk about it.
Okay, I think that'd be great.
I think it would. It would just help. It would help.
Yeah, the upcoming themes are green, snooping, and guts.
Yeah, snooping.
And it's weird how big this show is. I mean, people on Facebook struggling to get tickets.
Oh my God, I went on their Facebook page.
Yeah.
People were ready to like
Shiv
open a
somebody.
vein to
Yeah.
get a ticket.
I will cut you. Yeah,
Right.
no, it was crazy. For the Grand Slam and then the smaller version, which is really just as big. It's weird.
It's so cool, and I'm so proud of you. And
But
I love
what
it.
important answer to your question is, what is the next step? I think for the Moth, it's just keep doing it.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like starting to transcribe these things into the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's that? David Sedaris.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I read David Sedaris, and I don't know if I could be as good as him, but it's very inspiring.
You're good as Jared Ewey, and you just need to do it.
That was a very special way
I've
to say
told you that.
Yeah. I read his books and I'm like, okay, this can be done.
Yeah.
This can be done. I get scared and I put it off. I'm 49 for God's sakes. I'm on the death's doorstep.
Can I also say I watched that Steve Martin documentary that's out
Oh,
right
I'm
now.
going to see that. Yeah, I read his book, Standing something. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, and it was okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and I've seen the one on Robin Williams, and it's just like, again, it goes back to that thing about the way we grew up, and, your trauma either makes you really funny or not,
Mm-hmm.
right? But, yeah, it was interesting. Just, he had a very mean dad, and
He did, yeah.
yeah, but just it made me think of what you were saying about David Sedaris and your writing and transcribing your stories and everything, because they're just great.
Maybe this is episode 3.5 because I haven't even gotten to you yet. It's supposed to be your episode.
Well, no, I know.
It's a special eclipse episode.
This is a special eclipse episode.
But we haven't. I've eclipsed your episode.
That's the best part I love about it.
And we're
But
out.
it's okay. It's really okay because I haven't seen you since you won, because you literally won the Moth Grand Slam Jamma, and then hours later took your family to the airport and got on a plane to Hawaii.
Yeah.
And so this is the first time I'm seeing you as the eclipse is outside, and we're both giddy, and it's just fun.
No,
and
we're
it's
giddy.
great. Because you know what? I think it's almost been 30 years since we graduated college, and it's like at my age, looking from that back then, I would have thought I'd be boring and old, and it's like I'm having a blast with you, even though we're about to be 50.
Yeah.
And look at what you're doing, and it's so cool, and I love your family, and I just am I'm excited for you, Jared, because I think that this year is going to be really pivotal for you.
Yeah, it's funny. Again, your episode, and here I am talking about me in
Our
the first person.
episode.
Our episode. Yeah, sure.
There's no I in Shannon or Jared.
There's actually no I in my all 3 names.
I have
have
one
an
in my
I?
middle name.
Yeah. Oh, what is your middle name?
It's Guthrie.
Oh, Guthrie. That's such a cool middle name. Okay. No, but it's interesting because there are times where I feel this loss of time where I remember Delilah Orr, a professor at Fort Lewis
Yes.
College, and Jim Waymeyer, Professor
Farron Scott,
Farron Scott, and these people would tell me like, oh, Farron, yeah.
Paul Pavich.
They would tell me like, I see you on SNL, I see you as Robin Williams, and I didn't in my brain know how to do that. I didn't know how that happened, and a lot of my friends went to Los Angeles, and they were like, you come here with us. And I'm like, I'm making $20,000 a year at a radio station, guys. Okay, I'm cutting public service announcements about 5Ks that are happening in the Durango area. So
I'm living the dream.
Yeah, and I really honestly thought that. But I don't. You'd think if I were to watch somebody's biopic and they were dragging their feet on accomplishment like I have in some cases, I'd be crazy. I'd be like, oh, come on, James, you could do that. But I don't feel like I've failed or anything. I mean, I feel like this is what's supposed to happen. I mean, and not any, you could even extract any spiritual sense. I feel like better about writing these stories than I ever have and telling these stories. And now, granted, the longer you live, the more stories you're going to have. And granted, you and I both have had probably more happen to us than the average 49-year-old. Everybody has great stories and stuff. But you and I are both those people who people grab by the lapels, either physically or just spiritually, and say, oh my God, share this.
Right.
And as I was walking last night, I was thinking that, like, sometimes I can't watch the Academy Awards because this makes me sad that I'm not there, which is weird in this selfish.
No, I've
really
always had
pitiful way.
FOMO watching those.
Yeah, and but at the same time, that's really the only time where I'm like, God damn it, because otherwise, we're making a living and we're also doing this thing on the side, and maybe nothing comes of it. But like Kurt Vonnegut says, it doesn't matter. You're doing your art to do your art.
Yeah,
and
Kurt Vonnegut.
We both have had stuff come from the creative side.
Yeah.
My entire life is this creative stuff, and I want to, start. I want to be in the next book.
Sure.
Or just this. I want this to be my book, and I know I shouldn't obsess over a certain medium, but this has been in my head.
Goals. Everyone's goals look different, and with what you're saying about where you are right now and how it just feels right, it's like for the 20 years that I was sick and sidelined. Mm-hmm. I questioned, like, what did I do to deserve this? Who was I in a past life? Like, who gets jacked like this?
Right.
Because the hits just kept coming and I couldn't get my head above water. And now that I have, and I'm doing like a doggy paddle through my life, I too feel that same thing where I'm so much more at peace in my skin at almost 50 than I was in my 20s or my 30s or my 40s. And I've been Frankensteined and glued back together and stapled. And I am like marveling at where that comes from. Because it's just like an inner peace. Maybe it's because I learned how to be my own friend and, 10 years of solitude where I was hiding from the world, And
that's something I want to get to if we do that in this episode or in the one where I actually just turn the microphone over to you. Is, you're always very positive. You're so very positive, and I think that's born of you, just who you are. But I think maybe that's a reaction to what you've been through and realizing that's an important part of surviving. But I think there's just more to your story. I think there's depth to your story that you don't share because you don't feel like you need to burden people with that, and maybe it's also self-preservation. But that's where I want to go. I don't want to in like some cynical marketing fashion.
No,
like that's the story
like
people need to hear, Shannon. I just want to be the guy who gets the opportunity to be empathic about it. You know?
Are.
I want to be that guy that says, I'm going to shut up and listen.
No, and you always have been.
Yeah.
I have said in a previous episode that the years when I was really, really sick and my brain was so inflamed and I was so depressed and suicidal, I was hard to be around, and it makes sense on paper why I was that way. But now that I'm healthier and doing better and feel like my real self again, I'm so thankful I never did anything to do that to myself or my family because, as we've talked about, it's just not an option. But walking around in your skin, living every day, hating every moment, wishing you were in a car accident or you could just die or get hit by lightning or, whatever these sick and wrong things were that I would think about. When people tell me I'm positive, that makes me feel good because I really poisoned the well, so to speak, with my thoughts and the things that I put out to the universe. So as I'm being attacked and having, it's been almost 2 years since I've had cancer taken out of my face, and they used the inside of my cheek to fix my face, and just like these really messed up things that keep happening. I try to remember that gratitude is the key to me not feeling bad for myself, or I have so many blessings that I have to think about those and not look at all these bad things that have happened to me and let that sour my life from here on out. Because I just want to be positive to people and joyful and bring something good to their life. I think for a lot of my friends, I was a burden and I was a Debbie Downer, and it was like I wasn't getting better, and it was hard to be around me. And you've always been just wonderful.
Well, you taught me an important lesson, and I don't know if you realize this, but I don't know if it's just a guy thing, but definitely a me thing. I always wanted to fix things.
Yeah, that's what men, but that's guys.
But, and I said empathic earlier. What I meant is empathetic, because in talking to you, I realize all you need to be is empathetic. Like, I can't fix your colon. Or the mold situation. I can't do that. And I would talk to you, and sometimes I'd get stressed out, like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And I realized when I was caring for my mom, people didn't come around because they felt that same way. They didn't know what to do. It was bigger than them. It was bigger than all of us. Giant shadow. And in talking to you, I was on the light rail one day, and I was like, you have one simple job here. It's to exist for Boyles. When you have that moment, and you're at Chipotle, or you're walking on the street, or you're sitting in a Volkswagen outside of a comedy show, just be there.
Yeah.
And that's something Sarah has taught me at great length, often through snark, as she realizes I've drifted while she's trying to get me to be there. But, you in that situation really taught me a lot, and I'm still working on it. And I hate how automatically I go to fix mode.
No,
But you and all this stuff, big lesson.
You're so great. I love you. And like my dad, he was always trying to find something and help and make it and fix it. And I just sometimes needed to vent and be like, my life sucks. This is shit. Like, I cannot believe that all of this has happened to me. And he'd say, okay, and, mark of a fighter is, you get right back up. Every time you get knocked down, get right back up. And like, it became almost a mental conditioning. He pep talked me every day. I was going to school, taking the light rail. I had an ostomy and it would fail at school. And the anxiety and the hell I was in at the time. And I would come home just like almost like a little girl and just bawling, ashamed and embarrassed. And he would, he wasn't like gruff, but he was loving, and wanting to fix it, but then also wanting to be like, come on, like, you got a lot, take a look around your life, and like, I get that you are hating this right now, but let's keep going. And so, eclipse. And the whole point of this is just that I understand how bad it is to keep going when life just keeps shoveling shit at you on your plate and you're piled high like to this. And just when you think you can't take another scoop, you get 6 of them, and you're just like, but when I let go of trying to control any outcome, focus on, really trying to get well and my mental health and trying to just fix things that were wrong, which has taken 8 years, things magically fell into place. I have a whole new career. I'm sitting in your basement. We're doing this podcast and I love it. And I feel really good about where we are. And I think that maybe that's where we should put a pin in it for today. But I love you. You're the goat.
No,
You're the moth goat.
Like as an animal.
That sounds like a chupacabra cousin from like Walden.
This has been extracted. The score is still Shannon has 1 point. I have 0. It might be 2-0 if I freak out about the guy from Maryland thing, but
no, Mike from Maryland, we love him.
I know. I just feel like I was revealing too much, but I don't know.
Quit it.
Okay, Quidditch.
Next time is you.
Yeah.
Episode 4.
No. I mean, did you get to tell your story?
I
today?
just did.
Okay.
I just puked all over the podcast with my story. You're up next, buddy. Batter up.